Hi everyone, it's Nono here, and this is Nono.MA Live. This is a live stream that I try to do at least once every week. We have started season 2 recently, and as you can see today, I have this microphone in front of the screen. Today, we're going to have at least one section that is going to be a bit special. It's going to be a bit different, something that I've mentioned that I wanted to do before on the podcast and on the live stream. And basically, this is my to-go podcast setup. This is usually the microphone that I use to talk live when I'm recording for the podcast, or offline when I'm recording on the go or in the studio, which is right now the home studio. This is live stream 44. And for the next live streams and for the next weeks, I'm going to be recording a summary podcast of impressions of the, having done 1 year of this live stream. I want to say hello to everyone who's connecting live today and anyone who watches this afterwards. And I'll invite you, as always, to leave a comment on the chat or on the video comments for you to share where you're connecting from, how you found us, what you're looking for with this live stream, and simply to say hi and where you're connecting from. All right, so let's get started and let's get to the part where we actually record for the podcast. We might do some experiments today or tomorrow on getting other people's audio inside of the live stream as well. I haven't done that before. And even though usually have been using this microphone from farther from here so you cannot see it, today we're using this other one with a different podcast base. I will also ask you to tell me if you can see me okay, if you can hear me okay. I hope you can hear me even better than normally. This is, as close as you can get to a microphone, and it's normally the best that microphone can sound. All right, so let's get moving with the slides. Brief intro as we always do. I would encourage you to like this video to support the work that I'm doing here on the podcast and on the live stream. And, we also have some affiliate links that, I get a commission if you buy through those links. It also helps if you visit those links and you use some of the things that we normally mention. And subscribe if you want to get notified when I go live next or when I upload new videos. Join the community. So we're trying to build a community where people can collaborate on projects and can share things that they're passionate about. If you want to find other people like you can go to Nono.MA/Discord and create a Discord account, or just join our Discord server if you already have one. That QR code makes it easier in case that you want to do that. We did a live stream this morning. So I was playing with YJS and WebRTC, and I'm also playing with React and ESBuild and other web technologies lately. I'm learning a lot and I'm sharing that live, so you can also join me in that learning path. That's live 43. It's also October 14th today. And you can find that at nono.ma/live/43. All right. I'll encourage you to submit questions at gettingsimple.com/ask about this live stream, previous live streams, the podcast, or previous podcast episodes. And I'm not going to go through the goals. We've been seeing them often, and I'm going to skip them today. And today I have 2 questions to answer, or, to record a video content of the podcast, maybe to continue with the YTS. This is wrong. It's not YTS, it's YJS. And I put it wrong again here. Cannot believe that. Okay, that's fine. I mean, we'll just have to go through this again. So for you to know, this is right. So it's YJS, not YTS, right? It's Y as the Y is the name of the library, and JS is for JavaScript. All right, so we'll have to fix that later. And that's wrong. So yeah, and Stallion 3 probably not gonna have time yet, but that's something we need to do soon. All right, so we have 2 questions here. that I'm gonna be answering. If you have other questions, for example, Rob, that is live, maybe you want to share them. We can make other slides. We can also answer them today with, if we have this podcasting setup today. And YT is the name of the next great boy band. And yeah, so these are the two questions, right? We also have this part 2 here. So I'm gonna go ahead and Rob, if you have other questions that you think we can add here or topics that we can comment, the podcast framework is commemorating 1 year, like the 1 year anniversary of the podcast. The first one says like, it's been 1 year since you started live streaming. How do you think your channel has evolved since then? And the second one is like, the projects you develop are not easy and climb in difficulty quickly. What are the challenges you face coding live? So when we're ready, I'm going to introduce the show, right? Like what would be this podcast, and we're gonna record live. So if you have any questions, feel free to put them there now, and we can answer. Otherwise, we can get started with this YTS. YJS. All right. So let me leave this aside for a second and think about. Okay, so I'm not sure. So maybe it would be good if Sajay is here when we answer his questions. If he's not, it's okay. We can get started as well. And another thing that we might be doing is during those Q&As is that we could um, take a look at what we've done so far, what we've released on YouTube over this past year, because there's a lot of content here, and I think that's good. And you guys on the live stream and on the Discord community have helped me, and there's some things that seem to be coming to a bit more of an agreement with myself on how things are released. Others are not so clear. There are many videos that we still have to do, right? I have here the kind of the background page of the YouTube channel in which we we have a bunch of videos that need to be edited, right? So these are all private videos that are already edited but need a description and a good title and a thumbnail. Some of them already have a description, and some of them are even like, some apps are scheduled that are not shown here. Okay, so I'll guess I will get started then, because I don't see other people joining yet, and I'll get started so we don't take too much time with this part. And maybe what I'll do, I'm going to really quickly go here. We'll make like a tiny break. And why is this? Right. A tiny break, and we'll get started. Hello, so DBS. So we are getting, we're getting ready to make a live podcast. So I'm gonna make a quick slide here. So I don't know how we can do this. Maybe just getting simple live. All right. Hello, so DBS. So I'm not sure if I have. Okay, maybe this one. Okay. So it seems like you can see me okay and you can hear me okay, and that we are going to get started. So okay. So all right. Now you can see how I do my slides. All right. So let's make this big. Let's verify that this is something that everyone can see. Okay. Great. There's a lot of white light that comes from both screens. All right. Maybe that's better. And one thing, maybe just the last thing I promise, the one thing I might bring into this one is so DBS's question from a while ago. Hi Sajeh. So nice to see you online. So we were getting started to record this live podcast special episode, answering the questions that you asked this morning. So we are gonna go back to the layouts because here I have DBS's question, I believe. Yes. Let's see if we can paste this as well.
Hello, Nono. My name is.
All right, so that is a problem because I can hear. So let's see.
Hello, no.
All right, so that's being monitored. So I can take this out from here. And for Keynote, I'm going to mute when capturing. So,
Hello, Nono. My name is.
all right, so because I'm going to be able to read it, you can hear it, but I won't be able to hear it.
Hello, Nono. My name is.
All right, awesome. So, we have that as well. All right, awesome. So, okay, this.
Hello, Nono. My name is Sotivia.
Great. Okay, so that works, and we're gonna get started now. Finally, maybe, maybe not. All right, I like to think that I'm prepared. Audio wizardry, oh, awesome. Okay, yeah. So yes, looping audio from places to places. I'm so happy that you guys are here live. I have to say, because that way the tone of this podcast will look like I'm talking to someone and not just recording on my own, which is really good. Yes, I already answered, but today we're going to make it into a podcast episode, something that is going to be, we might release, and we might have Jose Luis also talking with us tomorrow. So, okay, I don't have to prepare anything else. So I need to see that this is going. I will keep your chat there in case you have any comments. But I'm now going to get started with this recording so we don't take too much more time. Okay, and I'm gonna pause this for efficiency. But yeah, it's true that I already answered. So this is so Divius is saying on the chat that we already answered his question, but you probably didn't hear it, so repeating is not bad. All right, so we're here and we're going here. So I'm introducing the podcast, and as always on the podcast, the important part is audio. I have water. testing, 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 testing. We have audio. We have audio, and once more, we test this.
Hello, Nono.
All right. Cool. 3, 2, 1, go. The following is an episode on celebrating 1 full year of live streams. I've been live streaming and doing this online thing that I call Nono.MA live, in which every Thursday night here in Spain, I would sit in front of my computer, in front of the webcam, with a green screen, a green chroma behind me, and try to do as if I knew how to code, how to do machine learning, and how to do web development and workflow automation, in an attempt to learn more on how to do these things, and also teach you, my audience, or whoever wants to collaborate with me in these projects, how to do it along the same time that I'm doing it. I think some people have already gotten some attention, right? Or interest. So I think some people have got interest in some of the things that we're doing here. And today, this podcast is to talk to some special guests and to answer a few questions that arise on the live stream, because I want to reflect, be retrospective about how the live stream has affected the tone of the podcast, the tone of my tutorials, and my own thinking about what I'm doing here. I will remind you that you can also watch a live recording of this, in which I'm in front of the camera on YouTube. If you go to livestream 44 at nono.ma/live/44, or if you look for a potential video just on this episode, which is number whatever, I don't really know what number this will be on the podcast. Without further ado, let's get started. Hey, it's Nono, and this is the Getting Simple podcast. So, as I mentioned before, we may have some special guests. I have been trying to get in touch with Jose Luis to see how he feels the doing live streams and time passing and doing it once after, and doing it one time after the other has affected the way he live streams and he records tutorials and how he teaches. Because I think practice is one of the most important things that and I just, one quick note, this episode is being recorded live, so I can see people typing on the chat, so on the chat of the live stream. So I can see right now Sajay Kumarji, Robil, Sodivias, and Vitor Arrilaga. And, this is one of the things that are important on the show, that we also have a way in the live stream, something not present on the podcast, to have a direct connection, a direct conversation with the audience and with other people who are doing similar things, maybe creating their own projects, their own live streams, and that we can find ways in which we can collaborate together. So, as I was mentioning, special guest might be Jose Luis Garcia del Castillo, who might join us live on the show tomorrow. And we might hear his opinion as well, and maybe some thoughts on how the Nono.MA live stream has evolved. Today, I want to celebrate that one first year of the Nono.MA live project is a live stream that, as I said, I reserve some time from 1 to 3 hours every Thursday. And, we took a break this summer and we started with season 2 in September 2021. And I hope that this continues, because I found that coding live adds a lot. Like, I can focus better sometimes and I can narrow down the things that I'm doing and not get distracted, and also get input from people who are connected live, or maybe people who connect afterwards and have some interesting points of view, or even maybe share related projects or share projects that might save tons of time with us. I'm going to do something that I haven't been too good at doing lately on the show, and is bringing in listener and audience questions and answering them live or on the podcast. The two first questions come from Sujay Kumarji. That is one of the most active people on the live stream, and I want to thank you for that. And the question says, it's been 1 year since you started live streaming. He actually was the one to point out that we were past the 1 year mark. And the question goes, how do you think your channel has evolved since then? And I see there is a typo here, and because I'm live and I can do these things, and I will be the one probably having to edit this, I'm going to change this. And the question says, how do you think your channel has evolved since then? Well, again, thanks for your question. I'm always welcoming questions at gettingsimple.com/ask. I really appreciate when people even get their phones or the computers and send a recorded voice note. Regarding Sajes's first question, I do think that something really similar to the podcast happened while doing the live stream. At the beginning, it was really tedious for me to plan it, to schedule it. I was trying to do too much preparation in advance. And as live streams continued to happen, I was giving less importance to each individual of them and more importance to the overall project. I was seeing that there was an evolution. I felt more comfortable here on my home studio with my chroma, my webcam, and talking to you guys live. And that's been really, really, really revealing, because if you go back and look at videos from live stream 1 to maybe 10 or something, and even if you go before to some of the other tutorials, the tone was, I feel, a lot less natural, and I could feel myself a lot more nervous. I was uncomfortable when things were not working out live, right? When I had a coding issue and maybe I got caught into a bug and maybe we had to spend like 1 hour and a half fixing it. I was thinking that people were bored and they probably left and came back or never came back. But the live format has that, right? Like if you're bored or if you have some other things to do, or if you're watching while you're commuting or while you're walking or while you're working, you're not fully committed to the video, and you know that if there's something that interests you, you're probably going to go back and watch it later and maybe rewatch the parts that interest the most to you and skip the ones that you don't care about. We all do that. I mean, I am the first one that does that with other people's content, because we all have limited time and we cannot go about it. And one of the things that has evolved is that I think I finally found some consistency on the content. If we look at the covers and like the typefaces and the type in of notes and descriptions that I'm putting on the videos and stuff, everything's a lot more systemized, right? Like I have a system that feels that now is starting to relieve me from having to think about the slides and how to name the videos, how to export them, how to do all these things. And I've actually done a lot of background processes to or little scripts to automate that. Automating just this morning, I actually managed to make one command when I have to create a new live stream that creates a bunch of files for me, and I just have to tweak a few things that are specific to each live stream. And I'm trying to learn to sacrifice some things, that sacrifice design in places where it's too tedious, too manual to do it. Another way in which I think the channel has evolved is that I now don't have that initial stress of not knowing what to do. Like if I put a few topics on the cover, and if we go through one of them or none, I don't really mind, right? Like we can take a look at those in future episodes. So yeah, I think, let me quickly think if there's anything else that we have changed on the channel. And yeah, I think the most important thing is that I see a few people that are identifying themselves with the community and that are contributing a lot more. I will also name like Juanda and Ricardo, some people that recurrently are showing up, John Mark as well. People that recurrently show up on the live stream and contribute with comments, maybe even just to say hi and to say that they like some video or some content or something. That's really valuable, because at the end of the day, what I'm trying to do is find a way in which I can communicate these things as I learn them for you guys to be useful, right? For the people who are watching. And in some way, that's the same mission that we have on the podcast, which is bringing interesting people, talking about topics that might be things that you can use to improve your own life and find more meaning in your day to day. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. I think this is sort of a continuous conversation that I have in mind, but the most important thing is I hadn't even noticed it was 1 year. I'm up to 44 live streams, and I hope that it continues. And yeah, we still have a lot to cover and a lot to take a look at, probably many more topics than I have time to. Okay, let's go to the next question, which is also a question from Sejaya, and it's kind of a follow-up. It says like this: the projects you developed The projects you develop are not easy and climb in difficulty quickly. What are the challenges you faced coding live? As I mentioned before, coding live, one of the things that happened to me is that many times, well, let aside that the machine many times goes slower than you would like to, because you're many times recording the video as you're live streaming, as you're trying to compile code or maybe install package dependencies for the programming that you're doing, right? So the machine slows down sometimes, and you feel that you cannot do live some of the things as you do them when you're not, um, when you're offline, right? And I found workarounds for that. Like sometimes I've recorded the commands on the terminal and then played back things to explain them a bit more quickly, like with Docker instances resolving themselves or things that take a long time. But overall, coding live, the main challenges are mainly coding live. The main challenges are that you have to throw yourself into the mud many times, because I have to acknowledge that I know nothing about some of the things that you guys send me, right? Like you send me links of things that just showed up 3 days ago, and I don't know anything about it. I know less or the same as you, and whoever takes a look and spends time studying them is going to know the most, right? So I'm an ignorant, if you can call me that, in many areas, because I don't have the time or sometimes maybe the interest to look at. So acknowledging that, like, that I don't know a lot and that I have to learn in many areas and I'm not going to be able to learn in all of them, has been revealing as well. And yeah, coding live, some of the challenges is that you get a really tiny bug and then you get caught for hours, and then you maybe waste 1 or 2 hours of the live stream. And then after the fact, when you finish live streaming, you realize it was like a simple version number change, and maybe in 5 minutes you solve it and you say like, I wasted 2 hours. um I wasted the time of these people that were watching live, and now I have to, when I have the opportunity to do that or solve that in the next video. And yeah, I think another thing that probably is related to the next question by Sodivius is that as this project climb in difficulty, because we're talking about things like creative coding, machine learning, and workflow automation, especially machine learning, has a really steep entry curve, right? And explaining these things to architects and designers and people who don't know how to code really well is really challenging, because if I don't even understand some concepts many times, I wouldn't be able to do the full thing in an easy, understandable way, or at least I haven't found that. But I'm trying to create videos that go in depth in the really, really quote unquote basic things. And you can see that in some videos, like the videos that cover representations of TensorFlow tensors as images, right? How to visualize matrices and tensors with colors, or other videos that explain why we would use the flattened layer in a neural network. Those are videos that try to dissect content. I have to make an effort to understand it better myself, because many times these are new concepts for me as well. And then I have to make an in-depth walk over that concept live or maybe offline, and then uploading a video. And that's a challenge, but it helps me learn. I definitely know a lot more after going through a concept on the live stream, trying to explain it to you as I'm doing right now, than if I just take a look at something and just get to read it. So yeah, I would say finding topics that are hard and trying to bring them down to earth in a language that anyone arguably could understand has been one of the biggest challenges.
Hello, Nono.
All right, so now we're going to, let me make sure that you hear it properly. Now I'm gonna play an now I'm gonna play a question that was submitted to the show a while ago by Sodibius, a frequent listener and uh, audience on the podcast, a frequent listener of the podcast and the live stream. and we're going to comment on it a bit because it has a lot to do with what we just talked about.
Hello, Nono. My name is Sotirius, and I'm connected from China. And first of all, I want to thank you for your work that you put on YouTube and your podcast. I found it's really interesting. And I have two questions for you. The first question is, how many program language you are familiar with? And I watched your live on YouTube, and I found you pretty much know a lot of things. And I'm just start learning Python. Yeah, and I want to follow. Sometimes want to follow your live stream, but I found it quite hard. I sometimes lost every time. And the second question is, I think that would you like do a something that's simple or easy beginner stuff? Yeah, I kind of can let the beginner newbie following you. Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Again, first of all, thanks, Odivius, for sending this question. There are two questions, right? One about programming languages, and the second about entry level tutorials and stuff that people can more easily learn as an introduction to these technologies. For programming languages, which is sort of unrelated to what we're talking about today, but just briefly, I have learned many, many different programming languages. I don't know all of them in depth, but I've definitely, done an exhaustive testing of many, many of them. And now I can say that whenever you spend some time working on a programming language, whenever you spend time working on a given programming language, you're going to end up liking it a lot, probably. Many people just hate languages, but I think it's just like a joke. I think that any environment that you spend time working with, you're going to end up liking some aspects of it. Otherwise, those wouldn't exist, probably. I've to list some, I started programming or like coding on HTML and CSS, and I started doing websites in PHP. So that was PHP Nuke, and later other frameworks. Right now, I use Laravel. I got introduced to object-oriented programming via Java, and later I jumped directly into Objective C, which was the language at the time to create iOS applications for the iPhone and the iPad. And I also did JavaScript for website development. And I don't really know later what happened, but I definitely started learning Python and C# to use with Grasshopper and Rhino at some point. And later, it just got a bit crazy. Just continued learning. I did some C++ as well. I did some Perl. I've done a lot of Go for my master's thesis project, which is suggestive drawing. And Golang was really efficient for concurrent programming. And I've used many technologies like WebSockets and I probably forgetting about many others, but the summary or like the gist of it, and I'm also doing a lot of TypeScript. That's what I really like TypeScript instead of using JavaScript plainly. And I would say, the whatever language you start with, I would recommend people start with something that is typed, because learning about types and classes from the very beginning, that abstraction, I think it's necessary, even though it can add friction to people who are not sure that they want to get into it. That's why I guess people get started with Python and JavaScript. But I think getting to use types from early on is really important. And then answering the second question, yes, I am trying to do easier programming tutorials that have to do with creative coding, machine learning, and workflow automation and other lifestyle hacks. I've tested a few things, but it's really hard, right? Like it ramps up, as I said before, really quickly. And the idea is that we can create an intro to machine intelligence for designers course over the next season. And that ideally will give designers the power to get introduced to machine learning and get hands-on coding, doing some training and like even customizing neural networks and maybe sorting images by similarity, doing image classification, doing object detection, and some generative adversarial network work. And that's also what I intend to do on the live stream over the next season, building this collaborative AI sketching app that we're creating. So yeah, thanks so much, Sodivius, for your questions and Sajeh. And let's see what we can do next. I am here, so if you guys have any other questions that we can add to the episode, that will be good. Okay, I see another questions that just came live from Sodivius, and it says, learning these things takes time. Do you have any tips on time management? This is really hard for me. I have become in some way a jack of all trades instead of a specialized person. And my friend Carmen Chamorro, who's interviewed in this podcast, probably can talk a lot more about that. You should go listen to her episode on the show about why being a jack of trades have benefits compared to a specialized person, and how both the specialized persons and jack of all trades are needed in creative teams to collaborate together. My personal tip is practice, is quantity over quality, and is atomic habits, is repetitive cycles of things that you do. This is why I do a live stream every week. This is why I sketch and write every day. This is why I write to publish something weekly. And this is why I might become a crazy person. But this is what keeps me sane. This is what keeps me happy. A part of spending time with family, friends, and loved ones. But this is key. Finding probably a project that you feel committed to, that you tell yourself that every day you're going to spend some time doing machine learning, you're going to spend time doing coding. Maybe it's Python what you want to learn, maybe it's C Sharp, maybe it's some other thing. Having something that lets you continue with that is super important. And this is the sole purpose of the live stream, is for me to find some time every week to code and play with machine learning things and get up to date with web technologies that are showing up. I didn't know anything about ES Build 2 weeks ago, and now I feel that I could use it because we've seen it on the live stream. I didn't know anything about Create Serve, about Perfect Freehand, and about many, many other things, even React hooks. So, yeah, having a practice in which you can feel that you're progressing because you have a constant habit to do this thing, I think that's super important. And of course, finding a lifestyle that accommodates for those types of habits, in which you can actually have some flexibility and there's no maybe architectural design job that is sucking up from 8 a.m. till 10 p.m. every single day, because you probably cannot think creatively if all you're doing is I don't know, the cat monkey job. But I don't know. I mean, I'm talking. This is a really reductionist view, and I don't think that applies to everyone. Okay, we got another question on the live stream from Peter Arrilaga, and I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. The question says, who got you into coding for AEC? For those of you who don't know what AEC is, this is architecture, engineering, and construction. I don't exactly remember, but I can tell you a few things that happened in my life, right? When I was 14 years old, I started coding websites. I saw that websites gave you money, and I got kind of hooked. I made some money with websites, but that, I kind of completely stopped doing that at age 17 or 18, and I started studying architecture. I got really hooked by programming, and I somehow started learning processing and parametric modeling through a workshop that was given by some local group here in Malaga. And they saw, or they showed me, that the things that I have been learning from Java, and I don't even think like with iOS programming and things like this, could be applied to the discipline that I was working on, right? Architecture at the moment. And I could have an advantage by building with code components that were a bit more complex of what people could do in the same software without coding. So that was kind of an eye-opening experience, because I think this was generative components, so GC, and this was probably 2010. Later, actually, I tried to use processing in some experimental projects on my own in some classes, but it was weird because nobody was doing that, and it was out of a bit of there was no understanding why would that be needed. And then when I went to do an exchange here in Australia, I actually found people. This is a studio called Arma, ARMA. You can go to ar-ma.net to see their work. And I worked with them for a brief period of time, and they actually showed me how to apply code inside of Grasshopper, which I was using, but without all of this programming in Python and C Sharp. And we also used the Getty Technologies version of Katia, right? Which I don't remember the project. Was it? I think it was called Digital Project. And we also did some coding there, but it was super hard. So, I started doing that, and then I realized that my path was to actually apply code in to producing designs, right? And I actually went to Foster and Partners for a bit, did a bit of Grasshopper and coding there, but then I went to the Harvard GSD in Boston and actually specialized in this. So from Panagiotis Michalatos mainly, I learned a bunch of coding in Grasshopper, basically to create your own methods to convert matrices and use matrices to rotate things and to change points of view and things like this, and a lot of other stuff like how to use OpenGL and many things that I probably have forgotten that I learned there. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know exactly who got me into the AC world, but I'm happy that I did. And I'm happy that I started coding early because it seems now it turns out that it's super useful for any discipline, and we should all probably learn a bit of it. Not everyone needs to learn how to code, but I think we can all understand that. And what I see on the live stream is that Sodivius and Suje are commenting that coding for architecture, engineering, and construction is not that mainstream in China, and suggests that it's the same in India. So that means that they do have an advantage because not everyone is doing so they can differentiate themselves. It seems it's a bit more trendy now in the US and Europe and other places. And that they appreciate that there is a community that otherwise is really hard to keep going with this, because if you cannot attend to classes, it's super hard to do. All right, let's move to the next question. Sajeh asks that on Discord and YouTube, right? Like talking about Discord and YouTube, are community-based learning and tutorials the future of learning? So let me quickly take a look at here. So just one comment for the chat. So Terence O, I don't think we've got anything from you. I don't know if you deleted the message or something. I can only read, sorry, I mean Harvard, not MIT. Forgive my stupidness. If you had asked any questions or if you wrote anything there, I would invite you to write it again, maybe ask the question or something, and I'll happily, I gladly answer that live. So my take on suggest question, whether community-based learning and tutorials are the future of learning, I think they are part of the present. I don't think they're even the future. I do think, and I've experienced on my own, that presential learning, when you actually engage on the class of a teacher that has a lot to offer you and to help you, it's invaluable. Like if you can have a one-on-one relationship with a person that is, it's a mentee more than a teacher, and they can guide you through the way of thinking, not just the technical aspects of coding. You don't really want a person who's teaching you how to code because you can learn that on your own. There are many tutorials and videos, as you're saying, but having a mentee, somebody who has a way of thinking that maybe adds to yours, or maybe a different point of view, or help you understand how you should conceptualize your projects, that's invaluable. And that, I think, I want to thank Panagiotis Michalatos, who is also on this podcast. So you can hear an entire conversation if you go to gettingsimple.com/pan. We recorded in Cambridge back in 2018 before I left. And, he has a really idiosyncratic view of the world. And he definitely was a determining factor on the outcomes that I got with the suggestive drawing project, which you can see at Nono.MA/AI if you haven't seen it. I do think that community-based learning and tutorials are the future of learning, but I think there's also going to be like close one-on-one relationships, might be live streams or like groups of people working together or other collaborative environments. But yeah, for learning, we can definitely teach ourselves by watching and doing. Yeah. Okay. Thanks for the question, Sajeh. Well, a follow-up question from Sodivias on the chat is whether a master's degree, and follow-up questions from Sodivias on the chat is whether a master's degree is a better choice to learn about machine learning. When I was in Cambridge studying, I was able to take a few classes on artificial intelligence. At the time, I didn't think of taking machine learning, and I should have probably. And I do think you need to take classes, maybe just following a course online or going presentially. I don't know if you need to do an entire master's degree in machine learning, but you'll probably benefit a lot to understand the underlying concepts. It's definitely going to be faster because you're going to be deeply focused on that, but other methods of learning might spread it out, right, or across months or years, as is happening in some way to me, because I cannot cover things on my own as fast as I would if I was going to a class and doing assignments and having exams and things like this. A question that recurrently appears when people see some of the work that we do here online is something that Sodivius is asking. He says that obviously there's no such a thing as work-life balance, but what's my take on work-life balance? It's really hard. If you are single, or if you're away from your family, or if you don't have a lot of social plans to do around you, you might get caught into spending too much time with the computer, with your projects, and with things that you want to do. There are times in your life where it might be okay, or maybe if you put a set days of the week in which you're doing that, you want to tinker, you enjoy it, there's nothing bad about it. But another thing is that you value a lot things like social life and going out and things like this, and you leave them aside in a way that it endangers them. And you got to be aware of that, right? Of course, I've been like progressing slower than I would have if I hadn't come back to Spain, for instance, because my family is closer, my partner and my friends, right? But having that social time to disconnect from technology is super crucial for your sanity long term, right? So I think we need to work in deep work blocks, right, day to day, but also making a point to have free time and socialization time. Play board games, right? Leave your phone, or like read on Kindle or on in a book. And I do strive for work-life balance. My main goal of 2021, among others, has been to find people to collaborate with and to delegate tasks so they can help me with creative work, as maybe editing a podcast audio, fixing transcriptions, fixing video tutorials, and help me with these things, or even maybe edit sketches. And I think at some point, the money is time, right? That's a kind of a cliche thing, and I'm learning that I have to spend more of my money to buy me time, not from um, silly things, but from the things that I care about. So I usually tend to find, or I'm trying to find work-life balance by spending many hours defining my processes, and then training other people to do them for me in a way that it makes sense for them and it makes sense for me. And that isn't always easy because it's, you have to train other people and you have to spend time. Many times it doesn't work and you've sort of like wasted time with them. But I'm trying to build guides and tutorials on how people can help me edit content and do these things. And I believe that that will allow me to have more work-life balance. Still, like, I've personally taking a full month off the computer and work this year, and I have an episode on mini retirements on the podcast, right? You can hear it, and I think it's super important that we find um, free time. And a good book about that is Digital Minimalism by Cal Newport, and Deep Work about Cal Newport as well. So, and Deep Work from Cal Newport as well. Yeah, if there's any other aspect that you wanted to ask Sotivies, feel free to put it on the chat and I can answer. Yeah, and I believe that these projects can become, as you're saying on the chat, an obsession or an addiction if you don't take care of them properly. That's what I'm trying to do with these things, is like to have a regular cadence of publication and see how it goes long term, and mainly to help you guys trying to think in different ways and learn myself and learn from others as well. So a question from Terence O, that this is a bit hard for me, right? On the live stream, we've been covering machine learning and things that have to do with creative coding and web development. Terence is asking about finding solid math knowledges, right? Like getting solid. Terence is asking about getting solid math knowledge. And for me, I'm also lacking some of that. That's why I said before, I regret not taking more machine learning courses, and sometimes even I struggle understanding expressions that are, math expressions that have to do with like learning rates and like how the function updates and reinforcement learning policies and things like this, because those are more natural for people who studied computer science. But as people who come from a computational design background, from architecture, from design, we have a different perspective on how all of these things can mesh together and can be presented to users, right? So yeah, I don't have any recommendations there, Terence. I'm sorry, but hopefully somebody can give you some hints. Thanks a lot for your question. All right. I think I think this makes it for the podcast episode for now. I think we're gonna add hopefully the special guest section with Jose Luis, and I'm gonna have to edit all of these things myself. And yeah, I want to hear from you guys that are online now. What did you think of this format? Did you enjoy it? Did you like it? Do you think it's useful for you? Do you think we could do more, maybe around other topics? I enjoyed it. I think, getting these questions live, and I'm super happy that you guys wrote all of those questions, because I wasn't expecting any of them more, and you guys added like 5 or 6 more. So that's super super nice. I'm going to record a quick outro just in case that I don't get a chance to do that later, and that way we have an outro with the same tone. It's Nono here again. I really hope that you enjoyed this live Q&A podcast celebrating 1 year of the Nono.MA live project. As a reminder, this is a project that I do to find the time to code and do machine learning and creative coding, or machine intelligence, to do machine intelligence and creative coding weekly. And I would invite you to find some weekly project or daily project that you can do to enhance some of your personal skills. Remember that you can send your questions to gettingsimple.com/ask, and you can find detailed episode notes at gettingsimple.com for this and any previous episodes. Thanks so much for listening. We'll see you next time. All right. Yeah, so DBS, can you send the link maybe on Discord? I can paste it on the live channel of YouTube if you want. If you want to send, so DBS is saying that there is a course on Khan Academy that is brilliant. So that would be really good if we can get that. And yeah, I want to also say hi to Vitor Arilaga for joining the Discord server, and Gulsum, whoever you are. I don't know if it's Terence or whoever Gulsum is. I also want to say hello to you guys. Thanks for joining, and I will invite you to introduce yourself on the introductions channel, for that way you can let everyone else know who you are, what your interests are, and you can follow the template up here that not too many people have used yet, but Rafael y Gallara actually used, and some other folks maybe. I don't know if, maybe some other people there. Hi. Okay, and so this, I think, covers it. I wanted to go through quickly before I forget. I'm gonna open here. So for those of you who are listening to the podcast only version and not So for those of you who are listening to the audio only version of the podcast and not watching the video on YouTube, now I'm just quickly gonna go through the YouTube channel and try to see some highlights of what we've covered over the past year, to give you an idea of the topics that we've covered on the live stream and some of the tutorials that we have uploaded to the YouTube channel. As I mentioned before, we have 44 live streams. There is a playlist that is called Nono.MA Live, which you can access at Nono.MA/playlist/live, or just go look for it on the YouTube channel. And what I can see here, so we have live number 1, which was an intro to the series, the script podcast editing, YouTube chapters, and automating local backups. And then we have, I kind of started the suggestive drawing overview in live 3. We started in live 2 with machine learning and Jupyter notebooks and Google Colab and ML frameworks. We've tried to train classifiers with Lobe and TF-Lite and Runway ML and Pix2Pix and Electron in many different places. There are like 3 big dedicated Runway ML tutorials where you can see how to use models and train them, and train them on Colab and put them inside of Runway. We've trained Fashion MNIST, right? This is like for image classification. We've also seen SageMaker training, how to train your models in SageMaker, how to train a sketch classifier, how to use Electron, React, and TypeScript. That, I think we've done that extensively. We've also done some things with TensorFlow.js. We've used ResNet 50 and TensorFlow Hub. We've taken an intro look at the Laravel web framework. We've also seen how to hallucinate sketches and portraits with StyleGAN, and how to add your StyleGAN checkpoints to Runway ML. We have Live 19, which is an in-depth live stream on DigitalOcean. the basics, how to create your droplets, install dependencies, and many other things. And then we have many other live streams without a specific topic here. We have also stacked out encoders, RSS feed parsing, downloading files with TypeScript, more Laravel tutorials, flex grids, and sortable dynamic view components, Tisney to do dimensionality reduction with scikit-learn and sort your images by similarity, AI sketch vectorization, and anatomy with the React application. And over the past weeks, we've been going through the collaborative AI sketch project. We also have a Getting Simple podcast dedicated playlist, a playlist for Python videos, for machine intelligence videos, another one for web components, and we'll have more in the coming year. Hopefully one for the Intro to Machine Intelligence for Designers course. All right, so Sajay, when you say I love the topics, projects, and the difficulty level of the projects, is that about the course or about the live stream? All right. Do you guys have any last questions? And we just unlocked on the channel the posts feature, so I can now post images, polls, and videos. I hadn't seen that before. All right. If you guys don't have any other questions, I think I'm gonna call it. I might show what we did this morning, but it's a bit late. And so Jay is sharing a channel that is called Machine Learning and My Music that he's used to learn the math behind some of the things that we do on the live stream and behind the mail. All right. So yeah, so let's leave that aside for the podcast. So I think we have material for the podcast with all of these that we've recorded. And now we're going to take a quick look at YJS and WebRTC part 2. So we're going to take a break. I'm going to take out this mic and I'm going to open the window because it's super hot here. All right, quick break. Thanks a lot, guys, for all your questions, and we'll be back in a second. Hello. All right. All right. So this is YJS is exactly what you shared the awesome application, right, a while ago, and yeah, this is definitely suited for. Yeah, so DBS, this actually was thinking also on you to make this earlier, so it's been nice that you were able to stay, and I'll see you. I mean, we'll catch up some other time, and yeah, glad that you could make it, and thanks for all your questions for the podcast. Bye. Oh, and if you can put the Khan Academy course link on Discord at some point, on the links part or somewhere else, that way I can share it with other people. All right, so let's take a look. Rob Beal, so he's asking about a summary about my conclusion with YJS. Let's take a look. Hi everyone, it's Nono here, and this is part 2 of a look at the we have this wrong again. I don't know why this is happening. Hi everyone, it's Ono here, and this is a quick overview on YJS and WebRTC. This is part 2. We've already covered a lot in live 43, and we're gonna just see an overview of what we already did, kind of trying to summarize and understand where we got, and maybe even replicate some of it. I hesitate from replicating everything because it takes some time to install the dependencies. So I'm going to say, I'm gonna point you guys to the the live stream. So if we go here to the live stream GitHub repo, and we zoom in a bit. Okay, so I forgot to change the name, so I can go. Yeah, so I added these links here, so the like basically this guide on how to use this and how to create it from scratch, right? So this is what I did to create this from scratch. So it's basically npm npx, and kind of going a bit back. This is a summary on what we did in livestream 43 to use YJS with Y WebSocket, right? So first what we did is npx create react app YJS started TS. So this is the name of our app. And then we specify that our template is TypeScript. We access that folder, cd YJS started TS. And then with npm I or npm install, we install YJS, Y WebRTC, and Y protocols. These three are needed for the application that you can see up there. And then you run yarn start. Something that probably is missing here is npm init. So maybe we can actually test that and before we go and assume things are not true. So let me go here. So I go to the desktop. So I do npx create react app, and then do YJS app, and then template we say TypeScript, right? So this is the first thing. This takes a bit because it actually has to resolve all of our dependencies, and it has to install our packages. Hopefully there are a lot that are cached, and it seems that's the case, and now it has to link it. This makes my computer usually go slow, so if it goes slow, that's what it is. And while this gets to build, right, it doesn't seem like it's going to take too long. What we're going to do later is we're going to go into our YJS let me just make this bigger. So this is the YJS app directory. We will then npm. Oh, okay. So yeah, I forgot. So we don't really need to do npm init because with create React app there is already an npm project there. So this is okay. So we can do yarn start after doing this because this command already creates the package.json and install all of our dependencies. We access the folder, install dependencies, and yarn start. Once you yarn start, you'll be able to run the application locally that we've created. And so we're not going to do this. We already have this locally. So let me just stop all of these things. I don't know what's going on there. All right, so we're going to close that, remove it, and we'll simply go to all right, so we're gonna go to the live stream 043 and that folder. So we can open that in a Visual Studio Code, and I'm gonna show you where we were before. So we were, right, so we have our dependencies here. So we've installed these packages. Oh, we installed WebSocket, which we don't really need. So I can do that and do npm install to remove it. That will just take care of removing that one. So we have these three dependencies, right? So these are the three packages that we've actually installed. And we don't have to specify the versions, they get resolved automatically. And then we have our application. We are, while this gets updated, right? I'm gonna go through these things. And then the things that we do are here, right? So we do import everything as Y from YJS, import WebRTC provider from WebRTC. We'll do the same with WebSocket if we were using WebSocket. Then we import everything from awareness protocol, from Y protocols awareness.js. We create a new document, so maybe we can add comments here. So import YJS WebRTC, so Y WebRTC and Y protocols. And then here we create a YJS document, define a provider, and then we create get a Y array, which is shared, one of those shared data types that YJS has, right? And then we set the provider, when it syncs, is going to say synced on the console. It's going to observe this Y array deeply, right? So it's going to say, okay, Y array updated on the console, and it's going to log it. And then when we connect, we're going to insert Nono, right? We're going to insert that thing. And then we also have so we have our view is being rendered here, and we're showing the array here and some state text that we have to show that Y array. So I have a button here, so add value, that when we click it, we insert this test element, and then we update the component, which basically updates the state, right? Sets the state to like a stringified version of Y array as text, right? So if we've resolved this, right, so what we'll do in this application, which is open source, right, so it's on GitHub, we just do yarn start. With yarn start, this is going to start a local development server at port 3000, which we have here on the other screen. And I'm going to put these to the thirds of my screen, because that way we can see them, right? So what you see here, and this is probably the demo side of it, what you see here is the application. So if I click here, right, what you can see, and maybe this is a bit distracting, and I can remove it. I can hide this from here. Right, so we are showing this here, and if I add value, you see that we're adding test at the beginning of the list, right? So we're running here array insert at 0 test. We could add it behind it as well. And when this reloads, it starts from scratch, right? But when I click, right, this array, so it has test and nono, and now it has test, test, and nono. If I click here, oh, okay. So this doesn't sync, so we don't have them in sync. They should be the same. But we also need to run a WebSocket server that is being used as a signaling mechanism to tell the clients what other peer to connect, right? This is a peer-to-peer network because we're using WebRTC. So this server needs to be running, and I need to be running it locally. So I do here port 444, and then we do node being server JS. So this starts a WebSocket server, and now if we take a look at the console, this is actually connecting, hopefully, right? So yeah, so this now connects. It says synced, and we actually get now this state here. Let me actually refresh and see. Okay, so we now start from nono. Every client that connects inserts nono at the beginning, and when I click here, you can see that this application added this at the beginning, but this one also received it. So I can, you see there's test no, but if I click here, we get test no. So the actions here that I'm adding many things affect the application on the left. We just didn't complete the loop to make them actually respond when we get like an event, right? That's kind of the part that I was missing before. So this should be shown here live, and that would mean that we have live collaboration, at least for that simple action of adding an item into an array. Let me see. Okay, so let me see how we could refer to our React application. And to stop 1 second, does that make sense, Rob? You know, I have the need to call a method from outside, so and you know what I would like to do is call this update method when this y array changes, right? Cool, glad to hear that it makes sense. So this is where we were at the end of live 43. Right, so this is what we need. So we need to call handle message changed event. Hmm. maybe this is the next thing that we need to use, right? It's the assistant YJS, so a state manager, or take a look at Perfect Freehand and see um, how Steve Reith is doing it. Maybe that's, oh, actually that doesn't have it. Okay, so live stream, maybe episode 44. So we're going getting simple live recording, 1 year of Nono.MA live, and to do YJS and WebRTC part 2 and Fustan YJS. All right, and yeah, so I would love to see that. I don't know, even if it's like a quick hack. React hook. Right, let's quickly try to do something with this. So I'm gonna define here, but let me see what we've changed. What is this? Oh, I see. Okay. A lot of stuff from other live streams. Okay, so use state, use effect from React. So we would define here our, so use y array, and Function. Hmm. Okay, something's not working properly here. I don't know why. Well, it seems to be working, but it doesn't show here live. I'm not sure what's going on. Um, let's see if this hook is actually working. Okay, so the hook is not working. All right, yeah. 1 second. I went into the dark. Cool, much better now. Thanks, Sajid. All right, so okay, so this doesn't work. It's a bit late. I need to find a way to in which this is done better, because it doesn't seem like this is working. So what I'm gonna do is so is this alive? Yeah, okay, so we're gonna close these things. I'm gonna do housekeeping before we go, and we're gonna end up early today. Well, early, it's not early anymore. All right, so we'll go to here and I'm gonna open this. I'm gonna make sure that we make a directory for this one, which doesn't work, so I'm not sure what to do with this. I leave it as a work in progress. Maybe just leave it as a work in progress, because here we're gonna revert this one, and we're going to add everything in this folder. All right, so we'll do 44 updates to YJS starter TS. Great. So yeah, so we're gonna open the live stream repo, and we're gonna go here. Yeah, so we do have this file here, which is the work in progress that I was using that didn't really work. Okay, so that's there. Maybe you guys want to see it, so I'll put it on Discord as well. And I think that's it for today. I think we had enough, right? Cool. Nice. Adam Menges. Hello to Adam Menges. I didn't know you were around. You can see his episode at gettingsimple.com/Adam. Really recommend it. All right, so I don't know who this is, but hello. And that's there. Okay, yeah, thanks you, Rob and Sajed. So really quickly, an outro. I'll remind you once again to click the like button if you're liking what you're seeing or you want to support the channel, and to subscribe and click on the bell if you want to get notified when I go live next or when I upload new videos. You can join, or you should join, the community at Nono.MA's Discord. As you can see, many people are joining. You can introduce yourself in the introductions channel if you feel comfortable doing so, and there is a template for the questions or the things that you can write there at the top of the introductions channel. QR code makes it a bit easier. And yeah, that's it. It was Nono Martinez Alonso here. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you next time. I hope you got something out of this. Bye.